In the burning heart of Mesopotamia, between the twin rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates, there once stood a city that defined power, beauty, and ambition. Its walls gleamed beneath the sun like a promise of eternity. Its towers rose higher than any before them. Its people claimed that even the gods looked down upon it with envy. This was Babylon, the city that challenged the gods. For centuries, Babylon was a name whispered with awe, fear, and fascination. It was a place of immense knowledge, wealth, and divine worship, but also of arrogance, greed, and excess. It became the symbol of human achievement and the warning of its downfall. Today, as we uncover the ruins buried beneath the sands of Iraq, the stones of Babylon still tell a story of glory that defied heaven itself. Babylon's origins go back nearly 4,000 years, to the cradle of civilization itself. Long before the rise of Greece or Rome, long before the pyramids of Egypt had aged into legend, the people of Mesopotamia were already building temples, writing on clay tablets, and shaping laws that would influence humanity for millennia. In this vast and fertile plain, small city-states competed for dominance. Uruk, Lagash, and among them, a modest settlement called Babili, began to grow. Babylon, they called it, the Gate of the Gods. Its location was perfect. It stood at the crossroads of trade and faith, at the meeting point of cultures and empires. By 1900 BCE, Babylon had become a small but thriving city under the Amorite dynasty. But it was under one man, Hammurabi, that it became an empire. Hammurabi, whose name still echoes through history, ruled Babylon from around 1792 BCE. He was not merely a conqueror but a visionary. Through diplomacy, warfare, and reform, he united the cities of Mesopotamia under a single rule for the first time. He gave his people something no ruler before had achieved: a code of law that sought to bind rich and poor alike. The code of Hammurabi was carved upon stone steles, set before temples, and read aloud in markets. Heat, principles, justice, order, accountability became the moral foundation for societies far beyond Babylon's reach. Hammurabi's reign transformed Babylon from a city-state into the beating heart of a new world. Its temples rose higher, its archives filled with tablets of mathematics and astronomy, and its artisans created wonders of architecture. But with every triumph came pride. Hammurabi's empire, though glorious, was not eternal. After his death, internal strife and foreign invasion tore at the fabric of Babylonian unity. Yet even in decline, the name Babylon endured, a symbol of divine favor and royal grandeur. Centuries passed, and Babylon's glory flickered, only to blaze again more brilliantly than ever before. Around 612 BCE, a new dynasty rose to power, the Chaldeans, and with them came Nebuchadnezzar II, the king who would turn Babylon into the greatest city the ancient world had ever known. Under his rule, Babylon became a marvel beyond imagination. Travelers spoke of streets wide enough for chariots to race upon, of walls so thick that 4 horses could ride abreast upon them. The city stretched over 2,000 acres, protected by massive moats and surrounded by fortifications that gleamed with glazed bricks in every shade of blue. And at its heart stood the great Ishtar Gate, a monumental entrance adorned with lions, dragons, and bulls, their forms shimmering like fire in the sunlight. Passing beneath that gate was said to be like entering paradise itself. Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon was more than architecture. It was an expression of divine ambition. The temples of Marduk, Babylon's chief god, rose at the center of the city, their golden domes catching the light of the sun as if the heavens themselves approved. The ziggurat Itamananki, sometimes believed to be the origin of the biblical Tower of Babel, stood as a mountain of man-made stone reaching toward the sky. Enneads, shadow priests, conducted elaborate rituals. Astronomers charted the stars, and scribes recorded everything from royal decrees to the movements of Venus. Babylon became not just a capital, but a living symbol of human mastery over nature and time. It was during Nebuchadnezzar's reign that legend says the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Ancient writers described terraces overflowing with trees, flowers, and flowing water, rising like a green mountain above the desert. Some say they were built for Nebuchadnezzar's wife, who longed for the hills of her homeland, whether myth or reality. The story captured the world's imagination and forever tied Babylon to the idea of paradise lost. Life within the city walls was a spectacle of diversity. Merchants from distant lands crowded the marketplaces, selling spices, gold, and fine textiles. Musicians played in the courtyards, storytellers recited epics of gods and heroes, and astronomers studied the night sky. The Babylonians were the masters of time. They divided the day into 24 hours, the circle into 360 degrees, and they left behind mathematical systems that survive even today. Their astronomers could predict eclipses. Their builders understood geometry centuries before Greece would rediscover it. And yet, behind this brilliance lay shadows, inequality, slavery, and a growing sense of hubris that would one day call down ruin. To the Babylonians, faith was the foundation of life. Every act, from planting crops to waging war, was guided by omens and rituals. The god Marduk reigned supreme, his temple Isagila serving as the spiritual heart of the empire. During the New Year festival, the king himself was humbled before Marduk's statue, stripped of his royal regalia, and forced to swear his loyalty anew. It was a powerful reminder that even the mightiest ruler served at the will of the gods. Yet, over time, as Babylon's power grew, its rulers began to see themselves as divine, blurring the line between worship and pride. The city that had once honored the gods began to see itself as their equal. This arrogance did not go unnoticed by the world beyond its walls. To neighboring peoples, Babylon became the embodiment of excess. A city of gold, pleasure, and unrestrained indulgence. In later traditions, it was remembered as the city of sins, not for immorality in the modern sense, but for its overwhelming pride and its defiance of divine order. In religious texts, Babylon the Great became a metaphor for empires that rose in glory only to fall through corruption. But historians remind us that these stories, though moralized, were born from real events. The conquest of cities, the exile of peoples, the relentless march of imperial ambition. When Nebuchadnezzar died in 562 BCE, Babylon stood at its zenith, but already the seeds of its decline had been sown. His successors were weaker, his empire overextended, and the old enemies of the East watched with interest. Among them was Cyrus the Great of Persia. In 539 BCE, Cyrus marched upon Babylon, and with a combination of military cunning and diplomacy, he captured it without a major battle. The city that once seemed impregnable fell overnight. The Persians diverted the flow of the Euphrates River, entered the city through its drain channels, and seized it while its inhabitants slept. Babylon's fall was so swift that many later believed it to be the judgment of the gods. Under Persian rule, Babylon remained important, a jewel in the empire. But never again did it command the world. Alexander the Great later dreamt of making it his capital, but his death in 323 BCE sealed its fate. The once mighty city gradually crumbled into dust, its temples abandoned, its walls looted for bricks, its canals choked with sand. For centuries, travelers who passed through the region spoke of strange mounds rising from the earth, silent witnesses to a forgotten glory. Yet Babylon never truly vanished. Its name lived on in the myths and memories of civilizations that followed. To some, it was a cautionary tale of pride. To others, a lost paradise of beauty and wisdom. The biblical image of Babylon as a symbol of corruption and arrogance influenced the spiritual imagination of half the world. Medieval writers used Babylon to describe any empire or ruler who placed worldly power above virtue. Even today, when we call a place a Babylon, we echo that ancient idea. A city that dazzles with brilliance, but hides decay beneath the surface. What makes Babylon so endlessly fascinating is that it mirrors the eternal cycle of human civilization, creation, expansion, triumph, and collapse. Its achievements were monumental. The first known legal code, architectural innovation, mathematical precision, and urban planning unmatched in its time. But its downfall was equally human: greed, arrogance, and the illusion of invincibility. Babylon was not destroyed by natural disaster. It was undone by ambition and complacency. When archaeologists first uncovered the ruins in the 19th century, They found vast brick walls, inscribed with the names of kings long forgotten. They unearthed tablets describing trade, astronomy, and daily life. They stood before the reconstructed Ishtar Gate, its deep blue tiles still radiant after 2,500 years, and realized that the legend was real. Babylon had truly been a city like no other, both a wonder of the ancient world and a mirror of human nature itself. Today, the ruins of Babylon lie near the modern city of Hilla in Iraq. From above, the site still forms the outline of ancient streets and temples. The air there carries the dry scent of sand and time. Visitors walk through the remains of walls where kings once paraded and priests once chanted prayers to gods long silent. In those stones, one can feel both pride and tragedy, the echo of a civilization that reached the heavens and then fell into dust. Babylon's story reminds us that greatness is always fragile. Power can build monuments, but only humility preserves them. The city's rise and fall reflect the balance between human brilliance and human folly. It teaches that civilization, no matter how advanced, stands on foundations of morality, balance, and respect for limits. When those are forgotten, even the greatest empire can crumble overnight. Yet perhaps the truest legacy of Babylon is not its ruins or its legends, but the spirit of its people. Their endless curiosity, their thirst for knowledge, their belief that humanity could reach beyond itself. The Babylonians looked to the stars and saw not just gods, but patterns, mathematics, and meaning. They invented the idea that the universe could be measured, understood, and predicted. They gave us the concept of time, the architecture of cities, and the language of law. For all its so-called sins, Babylon gave the world civilization itself. As the sun sets over the ancient mounds where Babylon once stood, the desert glows in golden silence. The Euphrates still flows nearby, carrying the memories of 1,000 generations. And in that fading light, one can almost imagine the sound of distant trumpets, the gleam of the Ishtar Gate, and the pride of a city that dared to challenge the gods. Babylon may have fallen, but its story endures, a reminder that every empire, every monument, and every dream must eventually face the sands of time. So, when you think of ancient Babylon, do not see only its sins. See its brilliance, its daring, and its lesson to all who would build without humility. It was the world's first great empire, the city that defied heaven, and the civilization that gave birth to history itself. Babylon rose from the earth to touch the stars, and in falling, it left behind a story that will never die. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of Mesopotamia, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more stories of lost worlds and forgotten empires. And tell us in the comments, which ancient civilization do you think left the greatest legacy on Earth? Babylon's time may have ended, but its voice still speaks. Through stone, through story, and through you.